Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Smackdown review. So, I enjoyed this show better than Raw. I'm not going to go out of my way to put this show over anymore. It's still got a lot of problems. There was things that happened on this show, but, you didn't really feel like anything substantially happened, and I wasn't expecting it. But this show is shorter. It consumes less time. There's less hot air being blown around. So, to say that it's better, it's probably like people were saying even before they watched SmackDown after the draft. They said it's going to be better because it's shorter. What's better, watching a bad 3 hour show or watching a bad 2 hour show? It's like, would you rather get kicked in the nuts repeatedly 3 hours in a row or 2 hours in a row? I mean, it's like asking that kind of question's a bit retarded. It's still bad, but not as bad because anything that's more prolonged, prolonged torture. Would you rather be, tortured for 3 hours or 2 hours? Come on. Does it even need to be asked? We started off with AJ Styles and Cena returning, and you could just feel the energy just immediately coming back into the room, into the arena, right after Cena comes out. And I said this time and time again to all the Cena haters. Do you see when Cena's not there, just how boring it is? How, like, just dry and devoid of life? That's nothing that the writers are doing. It's simply just Cena coming out. It's something called magic. It's something called star power. It's something called charisma. Cena isn't even particularly doing anything. It's just his very presence. The fact that he's there, he illuminates like while others don't. You got a bunch of dim bulbs and Cena's shining bright. I'm not saying that I'm a big Cena fan, but you guys have seen throughout the years, I give credit where credit's due. Cena wrestles good matches. Cena gets the crowd going. The show feels more lively when Cena's there. And the thing is anybody particularly bored when Cena's out there? I notice that people don't say they're bored, they just don't like it. They don't like his character. But the energy that he provides is really second to none in the current landscape. Dean Ambrose, also wants a shot at AJ's title. It says that Cena should just stick to doing TV and movies because he can't keep up with them anymore. So you had a good exchange here. Shane comes out and says that there's going to be a triple threat match. So this should be interesting. Cena's back in the title picture. And the thing is, I know, we don't want to see 16 times from Cena. I mean, I really don't want to either. But having him back in the title picture, it adds prestige to the title. It really does. I mean, come on. After seeing these matches like, Ziggler and Ambrose and just the bad build-up between AJ and Ambrose, I mean, you really feel like, you're watching talented guys in the ring, but you're seeing like second rate. Back in the day, this is almost like half these matches would be on velocity, and now they're actually right there on the main pay per view. Like, you're being sold that these are the big matches. And then they really would be. I mean, you would not be seeing this on an A show, on a main show. You wouldn't be seeing these guys performing. And, you'd say, like, yeah, that some of these guys might be more athletic than some of those in the past, but they certainly don't have the star power. That's not Ambrose's fault. I said this time and time again. It's how they wrote his character. The lunatic fringe would be, a great character for Dean Ambrose if he actually acted like a real lunatic. How is it that a mid Carter like Al Snow was able to act like a lunatic and be convincing with the audience? And and here you have the main eventer, the guy in the public eye, the guy up front holding the title, and he's not even living up to his name of the Lunatic Fringe. He's not even, forget about Lunatic Fringe, he's not even crazy. He's not even really that weird when you think about it. He's putting a little bit too much cream in his coffee. I mean, put too much sugar in his coffee, whatever the fuck he was doing backstage a couple of weeks ago. He talks to a plant. I mean, wow, this is so edgy. He's a maniac. I mean, how are we going to get behind this guy as the champion? We can't even take his character seriously. They don't even want to do anything, make an effort to at least make the guy appear crazy. I mean, what do they feel? It's PG, it would be too edgy? Is this still an issue? I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I'm confused sometimes with WWE. We have Brock Lesnar beating the holy fuck out of Orton, opening up his head, popping it open like a goddamn cantaloupe. And then we're like too scared to get edgy with Dean Ambrose. The Usos defeated the Hype Bros. I like how they were working over the leg. They're bringing out the heel side in the Usos. I'm not really crazy about the outfits. I would have really stuck with the black attire as opposed to the white and the red, but it's different. Change the theme. I mean, the thing is, it's like they don't really take time to really sit down. It was kind of like, I like how they're dressing Bray Wyatt, but like I said, they used to give him these weird fucking outfits. Like, why would he wear like white pants and all this? If he's like evil and a demonic character, like they don't think that like when you're a heel, dressing them all in black would be the opposite of being, bright and colorful. So, white and red is probably not the best way to go when you're trying to really establish these guys as heels, but it's a minor complaint. It was okay. I really think that maybe they should have given the tag titles to the Usos. I mean, like I said, I don't want to complain. I'm happy they gave them to Slater and Rhino, very deserving for their recent performances. But if it was just at the wrong time. I mean, like I said, I don't know why the Usos weren't turned heel a lot sooner. Then they wouldn't have to worry about this, situation of them having to lose at the pay-per-view. Kurt Hawkins is not on SmackDown. He's in a vignette. Didn't they say the guy was going to debut? More false advertising from WWE. I mean, they haven't done this in a while, but when you say that a wrestler is going to debut, that doesn't mean that he is going to just appear in the vignette after it's been nothing but text. The vignette was entertaining. There's this one shot with fucking him like looking between his legs, and I'm like, this guy is just weird. And I mean, it was interesting. It was different, so I'm not gonna knock it because I'm always asking for interesting, different things on these shows to break up the mundane cliche shit that they do on a weekly basis. Miz comes out to cut her promo, and like I said, this ain't like his best promo, but this guy is just there's a renewed energy in the Miz. I think it's maybe because of the brand split, or since they gave him Maurice. I think maybe he's just happy to be out there with his wife, but the guy has had a renewed energy. I mean, people got to see it. Even though this product is suffering, there's a couple of guys who are trying harder. I mean, maybe they see the product's going downhill and they want to try to improve it by trying to put their best foot forward and give some better performances. And The Miz is certainly doing that. Ziggler comes out. He wants a rematch. Daniel Bryan comes out and says that he's going to have to give he's going to have to give Ziggler the rematch. Miz says he's going to be doing things on his terms. I really don't want to see Ziggler and Miz again. We've seen this match so many times in the past. I mean, I like this angle, though, that they're going for where Miz, is too big for his britches. He does not want to listen to Daniel Bryan, and I don't know, but I feel like they need to fast forward this a little bit. Like I said, after the Talking Smack thing lit up the internet and people, wanted to see this feud with Bryan and Miz, Miz versus the authority figure. We really don't want to see Ziggler as a part of this. Now, maybe Bryan, he can't wrestle, but we wanted to see the next chapter. I mean, they start something exciting, and then we kind of have to go back to something that's not as good. I mean, it's been like 3 weeks already since that promo. Can we at least get something a little bit extra to, further that storyline? Okay, so now Miz is not going to listen to Bryan. All right, well, I hope next week they at least do a little bit more with this and there's a lot more tension and something comes of this. I don't know what it is. I mean, what could really be. I mean, this is up to the writers. Like I said, sometimes I think they write themselves into a corner sometimes. They come up with an idea that is great, it's good, and they've had actually quite a few moments like that. Let's be perfectly honest. They've had moments, these current writers, where they'll write something that's really good and just fail to follow up on it. And you see, that's really the most important part. That's why I can't really praise them as writers. I mean, we could say, oh, well, that was a good idea, but the whole point of a good idea is making it come to a, full realization. I mean, you have to make it more than just an idea. I mean, that was the idea. Miz and Daniel Bryan having a feud you presented to us, and then you just pervert it with a bunch of crap. I mean, it's enough already. We want to see this feud, but you're not giving us anything. You're not giving us the meat and the potatoes. You're just, you're giving us a little bit of the parsley there, and then you're just ripping that away from us. And now nothing. At least they're taking steps, is all I'm saying. But I'd like to see more of this. Miz is way too good right now to waste on just another match with Dolph Ziggler, is all I'm going to say. Um, Up next was something a bit bizarre. Apollo Crews and Corbin are out there to have the match. And, I don't know why they're not pulling the trigger on Baron Corbin. To me, Baron Corbin is a lot more interesting than Dean Ambrose. I say get Ambrose out of there, get Corbin in there. At least this is a guy that looks like a star. You just know looking at him that this guy's just dying to, if you put him out there and give him a chance to do something special. He's wasting his time with Apollo Crews. He's just beating up Kalisto. That went nowhere. Now he's beating up Apollo Crews. Where is he going? Like, this is just a guy where from week to week, a lot of these wrestlers don't even have any storylines or feuds, so they're just doing stuff. It's like Jinder Mahal on Raw. He's just doing stuff. They're just, same thing with Enzo and Cass. Cass has a Universal title match one week. The next week, they're in a match losing to the Shining Stars. I mean, it's like no one has any direction. They don't know what they want to do with these guys. So from week to week, it's just matches and little, segments that don't really amount to anything. They're aimless. This is like basically it's like looking at like Where's Waldo. It's just like a bunch of fucking shit all over the place. A bunch of guys just standing around. You're looking around for Waldo, but you're like, what is all this crap? And that's like watching an episode of Raw or Smackdown. Bunch of crap all around, and you're looking for, the gem. You're looking for Waldo. And, in the meantime, you're just seeing a bunch of guys standing around doing nothing. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's like, it really is. There's no personalities, no characters on this show, just a couple of guys, really. It's like if you walk through a factory of mannequins, just faceless, no personality, lifeless, no nothing. I mean, like, do something with these guys. Like, here's Corbin, this guy. I'm not saying he's Mr. Personality, but he looks tough. We've heard him cut some promos already. He's an interesting guy. He's got a look to him. He's got an edgy look. Why not do something with him? Why not make him a threat to the title? They have a segment with him and AJ in the back. It was really brief, and he asked him to be his partner in the main event, and he says he'd rather come after his title. Well, okay, like I said, once again, let's pull the trigger on some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They wait too long to do stuff. The Usos are just docile. They're not doing anything. But we could pull the trigger and by the time they pull the trigger on the Usos, another team comes along that's even more entertaining, that has, that deserves the tag titles. And then before you know it, you're having a complete, toss up. Like, who should get the titles, the Usos or Slater and Rhino? They wouldn't have to, even think about that if they just did things sooner. I mean, it's like they act like they have all the time in the world. The ratings are plummeting. Raw, the flagship show, the juggernaut, as McMahon likes to call it, got a 1.88, and they're going to blame it on football. But we all know that even though football might have something to do with it, but without football, they would have got a 2.0 or something, or a 2.1. Would that really be so much better? Oh, well, at least football wasn't on. I'm sick of them using this excuse. Football is, always going to be there every single year when the season happens. So we can't keep on blaming, oh, NBA, oh, baseball. The sports are all year round. If it ain't one sport, it's going to be another. Right? So, I mean, come on. So, you got baseball in the summer. You've got, basketball in the spring, football in the fall and winter, I guess, So you're not going to be able to avoid this shit. They're always there. They always have competition from sports. So they can't use that as an excuse anymore. But anyway, back to this segment. So as that's going on, as Corbin is beating down Apollo Crews, Jack Swagger comes out, and and Baron Corbin gets out of the ring. Why didn't these guys slug it out? Why didn't they at least do anything? He just like kind of looks at him and walks out. So he's scared of him. I like that they kind of gave Swagger a different look. He's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, a hat on backwards. He says, "You don't know Jack about how he's because his name's Jack." Okay, good pun there, Jack. All right, so but the thing is, it's like, you know, we keep saying, as he mentioned in this promo, he's a world champion. They even Michael Cole even cut a promo in 2011 when remember, when he was doing the feud with Jerry Lawler and Swagger was supposed to be training him. He even said that nobody remembers Swagger as the world champion because they had this guy jobbing out. He was training Michael Cole. Nobody remembered that the guy beat Chris Jericho for the world title. Nobody even remembered that. And the thing is, it's like, we should remember that he's a world champion. I mean, this is Jack Swagger, for God's sakes. I mean, they've dragged this guy through the mud. He's had so many ups and downs. They put him with Zeb Coulter. It looked like his career was about to reawaken, and then before you know it, they just drop him once again. I mean, are they going to commit to this guy once and for all? Now that the writing is the way how it is, I don't see there being any chance. I see this like they're taking another crack at Swagger, and they're just going to fail again with him. They're switching brands. We just started the brand split, and you have to ask, like 2 months into it, if even they put him on Raw. Now they're going to bring him to SmackDown. Is that going to be much of a difference? They already realized they made a mistake by putting Swagger on Raw. I mean, what changed between then and now? I'm not going to say that like this was a bad promo, but I don't know. He just comes out in the middle of Corbin's beat down and just cuts the promo. This is like all over the place. Like, okay, I know you could even make the argument it's kind of like anything could happen. He's walking out there in street clothes, but it's almost like most of the time, Moro Ronaldo would like be excited. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute," and then Swagger walks in. It's like, I was like, why is Moro not more excited since this is unexpected? But then again, I was gonna be like, it would sound ridiculous for this guy to lose his mind over Jack Swagger. I said it in my Raw review. I think Swagger's a talented guy, but they haven't done anything with him. They've made no effort to give him a character. They've made no effort at all to try to do anything with the guy. he spent like half a year feuding with Rusev. He lost every match. They wanted to make him this all-American guy, and they might want to just maybe that's what they're going to do. They're just going to get rid of this, all-American type of stuff that's been swirling around Swagger since he got into WWE or the WWE CW. It's just time to get away from that. It failed. It's not good anymore. It's run its course, or they've run it into the ground pretty much. They've done nothing with that character. Becky Lynch cuts a promo. Lynch comes off as likable. I'm happy that she's champion. Alexa Bliss won a fatal 5-way match. I like how they redid her. They're giving her the whole Harley Quinn look. This is a great look for her to be a heel. So Alexa Bliss looked good in the fatal 5-way. She was performing well. She's got a new look that's, making her stand out. So, okay, of course, let's go with this. She's also got that whole cheerleader, like Mean Girl type of character going on. So it could be quite interesting. That Lynch is the more likable girl, so it might be an interesting feud. These are high hopes, but one could hope that maybe it'll be decent. Heath Slater and Rhino get a contract. They're presented by Shane McMahon. Rhino said that Heath Slater said that they'll take on all comers anytime, anywhere. The Ascension come out. They've got new face paint, and they're ready to take on the world. So they beat the Ascension in a couple of minutes, but I don't know why they don't put more stock. I've already said this in the Ascension. Since the brand split, they've had the guys come out there. The Ascension, they put so much effort into these guys in NXT, destroying everybody. They brought them to WWE, and they had a weird storyline with the Legends, and then they just kind of forgot about them. And they just started performing on Superstars and Main Event. So now it's, I don't know if there's any saving them at this point, but anyway, Heath Slater and Rhino, I love this team. Like I said, I think Slater and the Miz are like putting on the best show right now. They're full of energy. They're being entertaining. They're doing what they need to do to just, stand out. And I had been saying this for years about Heath Slater. I said, dude, since 2012, since I saw the guy and what he could deliver on the mic, I said, give this guy something to do. Thank him for jobbing out to all the legends leading up to Raw 1000. But then they just put the guy in 3-man band, and, he went nowhere. And I wasn't surprised because a lot of times they have talented guys that they do nothing with. Then you had Orton talking about Bray Wyatt, saying that Wyatt is scared of Orton. That's why he attacked him before the match at Backlash. Wyatt appears at ringside after a little brief promo. And then Eric Rowan appears out of nowhere. Now we're back to, and didn't I say this in my review last week that they don't know what the fuck to do with Bray Wyatt? And I made fun of the fact that, they broke up the Wyatts, they put them back together, then they broke them up again, and guess what? Now they're back together. Now Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan are back together. Didn't he throw down the sheep's mask, and didn't he walk off, leaving Eric Rowan in the ring, symbolizing that he was done with him? And now Eric Rowan is back in, his employ, and I'm just sitting there saying well, I'm not surprised. They're just gonna keep going back and forth with this shit. It seems like break them up, put them back together. Let's put Wyatt on his own. And, it's like it doesn't even matter at this point. They have fucking destroyed Bray Wyatt. And I talked about this. If you guys watch my TNA reaction vid for the Leader Decay, I talk about this. Quite a bit about Bray Wyatt. It's not about Bray Wyatt, but it's about the Team Decay. I talked about how Decay in TNA is pretty much how the Wyatts should have been booked in WWE. Pretty much it's Billy Corgan and Jeremy Borash showing us how the Wyatts should have been booked. It's a stable that's very, very similar to the Wyatts. Some might even say a ripoff. But then again, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's really not, because they're showing us a way better version of the Wyatts. Decay is way scarier, way more intimidating, way more of a threat. You look at Bray, and I mean, the guy looks pathetic. He's going down to a 50-year-old cane. This guy is like, should be positioned so much higher. He has a match with Undertaker at WrestleMania, a prestigious match. He's losing to Kane, a guy that was doing nothing. He was choke slamming a fucking guy that was half naked on SmackDown. This guy called the Milkman 2 weeks ago, and we're supposed to take a Kane win seriously against Bray Wyatt. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Watch the video. You'll hear what I've got to say about that at quite a bit of length. I talk about how when you look at a video like the Leader Decay, you look at that segment, and you could see that almost everything they did was better than almost everything they did for the Wyatts in WWE, thanks to the writers. I think if they were in TNA, the Wyatts would have ended up like Decay. They would have been a threat. They would have really stood out, and they would have been taken seriously as a big threat. But they're in WWE with McMahon and terrible writers, and they have no idea. You would think with horror movies and thrillers and Stranger Things on Netflix, you would think that they'd have all these ideas swirling around their heads. I mean, like, these writers should be excited to write for the Wyatts. There's so many possibilities, so many opportunities to do some great videos and cinematography and showing them on the compound, and but they're not doing anything fun or interesting or must see with them. It's really sad, like, that there's so many interesting creative opportunities that they could do in the WWE that even the average fan can think up of, and they're not doing them. It's pathetic is what it is. Orton hits the RKO and Eric Rowan. So in the main event, we've got Cena and Dean Ambrose defeating AJ Styles and The Miz. AJ was going to have this jobber be his partner. It's kind of like to show that nobody wanted to be his partner, so he had to get a jobber. He was actually one of the guys that I recognized him, that over on Raw, Braun Strowman had squashed him, and he showed up right here on SmackDown. So anyway, Miz beat him up, and then Miz became the partner, and then Cena got the pin on Miz with the attitude adjustment. It was a fun main event, I guess. It was good to see Cena back with all the energy, and yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not like this was a god-awful show. It was better than Raw. It was shorter. There were some bits that were kind of entertaining and interesting, and like, even though it wasn't great, I'm saying at least you got to see Swagger come out there and try a little something different. You got some Cena energy there in the opening segment in the main event. So, nothing spectacular at all in this show, quite frankly. I mean, if you asked me whether I really sucked, it wasn't anything that great, but it was better than Raw. It's just, I watched this show, and I see so many creative opportunities. I see so many people out there, they say, oh, wrestling is so much more enjoyable when you really don't think about it. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a retard. I sit there, and I'm a creative person. I see, like, ideas that are incomplete or not even being presented that should be. I mean, I can't just sit there and just enjoy this for what it is, because it's not good to begin with. And there's so many ways that it can be made better that are apparent. I mean, it really is. I mean, like I said, the answers for what they could do with someone like Bray Wyatt are happening in TNA right now, for example. The ideas are all over the place. It's not that hard to come up with ideas once you understand what the character is. How could they not understand their own characters? I don't know, guys. Anyway, yeah, it's slightly better than Raw because it's shorter and it's a couple of things that were, entertaining here and there, thanks to the Miz and Heath Slater. But aside from that, nothing to write home about. No recommendations here. Not go watch it right away. It was, it was passable. It was mediocre.